there we go. We're going to talk about secrets. We're going to talk about what the heck they are, finding them, rotating them, storing them safely. It's easy. All of you are going to rock at this. It's very simple. I would like you to please try this at home and work. A lot of people are like, don't try this at home. I really want you to try this. I suspect that all of you will successfully find a secret unless you work at an amazing place that I probably would love to work. So about me, I'm Tanya. I'm the head nerd at We Hack Purple. I do security champion, secure coding training and stuff. I wrote a book about AppSec. This is year 26 for me in tech. I've done a bunch of stuff, but the key takeaway is that I am a nerd on the internet who really likes to talk about securing software. That's the key take. And when I brush my hair, I look very good. So right now, half the audience is like, everyone knows not to put secrets in the code. Everyone knows this already. You say that, but late 2021, one of my clients was like, I know you don't pen test anymore, but could you just take a quick look? We're going to buy this company. And 30 minutes in, I was like, I have their banking, like their legit banking stuff for the whole company. So I called the company, they fixed it, and then the other company bought them for less money. But so this is still a giant problem. This is still happening all the time. And I was a developer a lot longer than I worked in security, and I put a lot of secrets in code. I have like a lot of work I need to make up for now. And so, this happens all the time. And so luckily, it's super easy to actually find the secrets in the code. It's not that hard. And so we only have, 22 minutes or so, so we're gonna go a bit fast, bear with me. But let's start at the beginning, like what the heck are secrets? Secrets are what computers use to identify each other. So when I'm like, hey, I'm an app and I would like to connect to you, database, they're like, are you really the app I should be talking to? I'm like, yes, I am. Here you go. So we have API. Actually, I'll give you a bunch of examples in a minute. But computers don't have eyes. They can't look at us and be like, oh yeah, I remember you from last year. You're okay. They don't know these things. And so secrets are the way they do that. You know, when you go into a bar or you go to like a governmental organization and you're trying to do a thing, you go to the hospital, whatever, they check your ID. It's similar to that, except computers don't really get to have a cute license plate or a driver's license, etc. And so examples of secrets: a password or a connection string, which is the one that I used to put in the code all the time. API keys, tokens, hashes, connection strings, anything to say like, hey, you're supposed to talk to me. Here, I can prove it. I'm going to show you this. And so finding these in code is bad because malicious actors can also find them. They're really easy to find, and then they can use them. If I was a terrible human, I would have been like, banking credentials, awesome, I'm going to commit robbery. But I'm not like that. I'm a security person, so I just told them right away, and we rotated that night. Okay, so why do we need secrets? Like, secrets authenticate to other computers. So this is a very beginner talk, so if you're like, I already know this, Tanya, that's okay. Authentication is like, are you the real authentic you? Are you a person that just looks like my friend Sarah? Or are you actually the real Sarah? And so this is how computers talk to each other. So when an application wants to, query a database, it sends a connection string. And it's like, I want this table, I want these things, this is the level of access I'm allowed. P.S., here's the password. Let me in. And so basically, then the database responds, sure thing, here you go. And they let you do stuff and you finish off all the things. If they were smart enough to figure this out for themselves, we wouldn't need secrets. And lots of us wouldn't have jobs anymore. Computers are pretty dumb compared to humans. I know they can do things very quickly, but they can only do it as well as we tell them to do it. And so you might be thinking, why would someone do this? Well, as a person that was a developer for 17 years before she switched to security, well, I guess I did security a bit. Anyway, the point is, I would put it in the code in the comments for the next dev to help them. This is what we were taught in college. I kid you not. I went to college in the 90s, and they're like, oh yeah, well, that's nice that you're writing this app, Tanya, but what about when Brad needs to work on it when you're on vacation? Brad needs to know how to contact the database and do all of these things. We used to have literally like we would have all the passwords and everything on a big piece of paper in everyone's cubicle so that we would know how to connect. We thought we were doing a great job ensuring we gave more reliable service. Things are in the code because we thought and we were taught to do it that way. Now we've had many malicious actors use those for evil. Like, I thought I was an awesome dev. My, client would call me and be like, I forgot my password. I'm like, don't worry, I'll look it up for you. And then I would just like look it up for them. I decrypt it. I'm like, here you go. It's this. Thanks, Anne. Although it's convenient and might make it seem like we're doing better stuff, but it turns out that's a huge security flaw. And so, see, he's hanging his head in shame. Okay, and so one thing I want to just say briefly is that ideally when you're going to store a password specifically, so when we have secrets, we'll do all sorts of things with them, but when you're storing a user password, this is not a secret. It is different than a secret. It's for humans. It's not for computers. We treat it differently. And I mention this because I showed this to someone else and they're like, but what about my users' passwords? Those aren't secrets. And you want to take them, you want to salt them, which means add a long, unique value to the front of it. Then you encrypt the whole thing, or then you hash the whole thing, which is a one-way cryptographic action. So you can never get it back, and then you store that in the database. I used to encrypt them. Encryption means you can get it back. We don't want it back, which sounds kind of weird, right? But what you do is you get the value from the user, you add on the salt, you do the hashing, and then you just compare to what you have in the database. What this means is that if someday your application gets breached, all of that stuff's completely useless to malicious actors. So you might be in haveibeenpwned.com, you might receive an email saying it's been breached, but the actual malicious actors, they can't use a rainbow table, they can't get that value back because it's salted and hashed. But that's not a secret. That is a user's password. It's not the same. Secrets are just for computers. Okay, so what is the risk? Secrets in our code can have all sorts of potential attacks, breaches, embarrassment. Malicious actors can use these secrets to talk to your computers with all the authority that that secret holds. So just like when I found the banking passwords, if I was an evil stealer type of robbery person, I would go commit theft. I'm not awesome. But if you get an API secret, you can then talk to APIs you shouldn't be allowed to if you're a malicious actor. If you get a connection string, you can connect to that database and copy the data, change the data, erase all of the data. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do. And so basically all of the things that you've been trying to protect are no longer protected if someone can get those secrets. And so none of the outcomes are good from this error, unfortunately. So what can we do about it? We find the secrets, we rotate them, and then from then on, we use a secret management tool to manage them for us. It's way better. So if we put all of this stuff, as we find them, we change the secret, which I'm going to explain why in a minute, and then we stick in our secret management tool and we access it programmatically from then on. So that means in your CI/CD, it can say, oh, there's supposed to be a secret there. Cool. I'm going to go talk to the vault. I'm going to authenticate to it. I'm going to grab that thing. And now I can put in the password or connection string or whatever the thing is as I'm testing and building your code. Awesome. You can also access it programmatically from within your application. It's great. Human beings don't have to manage this. I don't know about you, but I don't want to manage secrets. It's boring and hard work. Okay, so yay, high fives. So the hunt begins. So we want to go and find some secrets. So how do we hunt? This might sound really simplified, and that's because it's actually really, really easy. I remember thinking this seemed really hard, and then the first time I went to do it, I was like, pop, 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 pop. I found tons of stuff, and I was like, I feel very smart. So you download a copy of your code. So if you use GitHub, Bitbucket, whatever you're using, I just download the whole thing. And then I scan it with a secret scanner. There's tons of free ones. I'm going to give you a giant list. and then you sift through the results, the boring stuff. So I actually suggest that you put on music, get like some caffeine, get a snack, get like a comfy chair and get ready, because you're going to spend a few hours going through these results. Okay, so I apologize if you thought, oh, she's going to have a sword, she's going to like she's going to have spears and guns and she's going to hunt things. It might seem kind of anticlimactic, because it's actually so easy. Compared to all the other AppSec activities, I would say this is by far the easiest one. And if you are junior or new to AppSec, or you're going to hire an intern, or you're going to try to train someone up, this is a really good activity that can make them feel useful right away and give value right away and not discourage them. Because there are some AppSec activities that are really hard. This is not one of them. So how these tools work? So they use something called regular expressions. Who here has written a regular expression before? Yeah. Like the first time you write one, you're like, oh, it's kind of weird. But as soon as you start writing them, it's actually really quite easy. And so when you like use a regular expression, what it does is you write out a pattern and it matches it throughout your entire application or all of your code. So I'll like go into a folder where all the code is, and then you run the secret scanner. It's just doing regex against the whole thing. Regex is short form for regular expression. They also search for entropy. So entropy in this case means super long random stuff. So people are supposed to name their variables things like username, because it's a username. Password, because it's a password. You usually name the thing after what it is. Sometimes you'll add like str at the end or at the beginning to say it's a string, and that's helpful. If you see a big long thing that's like 45 characters and it's all just random, there's no real words, there's numbers, there's uppercase, there's lowercase, that's probably a secret. It's probably not a variable name. And if it is a variable name, you are an unpopular developer at your office, because it's really hard to tell what you're doing with that. And so it looks for all these long random things, and they're almost always a secret. Keywords, it also looks for those. So like password, key, API key, connection string, etc. If it says that, it's probably a secret. It's not exactly rocket science. So again, you might be like, oh, this talk's so easy. Yes, I wanted to write a talk that anyone could understand. I want to write a talk that would give you all the confidence to go and try to do this. Because if you are just starting, or especially if you're at a new office and they're like, read these documents, you don't really have access to anything. If you have read access only to the code repository and you have no tools yet, no permissions, go find a whole bunch of secrets and you just earned your paycheck. So this is a giant list of secret scanners, and all of them are free except CredScan from Microsoft. And although I think CredScan is quite nifty, I would probably go with one of the 20 free ones on the page instead. If you are looking for a secret scanner, like all of these are decent. I really like Truffle Hog, but mostly because I've used it the most. And so any of these will go through and look for stuff. Chekhov specifically, which is on the right side, third from the top, it looks at infrastructure as code. We don't want secrets there either. Infrastructure as code, regular app code does not matter. I don't want secrets in there. Okay, so next, false positives kind of suck, but you're gonna get some, unfortunately. So I have a fun little story about this. So I was coaching a person to become an AppSec professional, and I was like, we should do this on your first week. This will be really easy. And I remember he'd never written code before in his whole life. And basically, we went through and we found, thank you. We went through and we found a whole bunch of secrets, but one of them was a mail license key. And there's this weird email converging software or whatever. And we found out that company went out of business 10 years ago. And so although it was a license key, and normally it would be a secret, we found out we weren't breaking any copyright, and they were using it all over the company, and we decided it wasn't a secret anymore. And so we suppressed those from then on. And so sometimes you're going to find poor coding choices that aren't quite a violation of the secret, but basically you should go through and at first tutor the person and just say, if you're not sure, just come and get me, okay? I have work to do. I'll come see you in an hour, and then just check on them every now and again and encourage them. You might also find some scary things. I have found some passwords to things that are quite important to the company I was working for, where I was pretty darn shocked it was in the code. I bet a whole bunch of people in this audience and in this entire building have found tons. Okay, so why are interns awesome? I'm from Canada. You might have noticed my accent where I ended a sentence at some point and said "a" at the end, which means that was the question and the only appropriate answer is yeah. So in Canada, we pay interns. I know that that might not be true everywhere in the world, but we pay them. And you can teach a total noob, and by that I mean an intern, a co-op student, whatever you call them, to do this in about an hour. You can have them going, and their first week, you can just make them do this most of the time when you don't have time for them. They might not get it perfect at the beginning, but very, very quickly, they will find a whole bunch of things. And if they just find one secret, they just saved you running your entire incident response process, right? Like you go through, oh, and also when you find a secret, go check to see if you're the second person and not the first person to notice this. So assume breach and go and like see if anyone else has done this before. Okay, so tip. So someone else gave a talk about this yesterday, A+ to that person. You can commit, or you can create a pre-commit hook that will then block new secrets from ever being checked in again. So whenever a dev goes to check something in, they just do the regex very quickly and they're like, that looks like a secret. No, sir, you need to like try again later. Okay, so rotating secrets. If you spill a secret, so that means you put in the code or somewhere you weren't supposed to, you rotate it. No ifs, ands, or buts. I have this friend that does live streaming all the time. Her name's Suze Hinton. She's pretty amazing. If you like smart things and programming them, she's awesome. And she spilt a secret while she was live streaming once. And then she showed everyone how to rotate it. She's like, yeah, that's right. In 2 minutes, you could just rotate it and check it back in. And so I was like, you rock, Suze. So if it gets spilled, you have to rotate it. You do not take that spilled secret and put it in your secret management tool. You've just wasted all your time. So you must rotate it. Do not check it into the secret management tool and pretend everything is fine because like I said, you're probably not the first person to find it. So how do you rotate a secret? You literally just generate a new one. You just say, change my password. That's it. You just generate a new one. So if it's an API key, you just literally press the little refresh button. It makes you a new one. If it's a password, you do the change my password and just make a new one. It doesn't matter what the secret is. You must rotate it, which means make a new one and check the new one into the code repository. Okay, so setting up a secret management tool. So unfortunately, none of them are free. All of them cost money. I didn't find a single one that was free. Lots of these are cool. I've used 2 or 3 of them, not all of them. Some of them are really expensive and it makes me think that I'm in the wrong business when I see how much my clients pay for these. But here are a whole bunch of them. I don't recommend specific ones. I just recommended that you get one of them. So your entire org should use the same tool, but you should have separate vaults. So each system, so each like application should have its own vault, because if somehow someone gets into your secret management tool, if it was all just in the same vault, they would get access to all of your applications and life would be terrible. So same product or system or whatever for everyone, separate vaults for each system you build. That's really important. Yay, hearts. Okay, so secret management. The musical, wait, no, sorry, best practices, I get those confused. Okay, so each application should have its own vault. Back up the vault like your livelihood depends on it, because it does. Use a service account for access, not your personal employee account, so not T Janca. You want to have whatever the name of the app is. Connect it to your CI/CD for each different environment. And never save a copy somewhere else of that secret. I've seen so many devs be like, oh yeah, but I also stored it in this folder. I'm like, ah, please don't do that. If you find a secret somewhere it shouldn't be, and it's an important secret, kick off the incident response process, because like I said before, I'm saying it for the 3rd time because I really hope you do that. Conclusion, what we learned very quickly, what secrets are, why we must protect them, how to find secrets and then rotate the secrets, how to manage them safely, how to prevent secrets from getting into your code. And what is up next in the 4 minutes I have remaining are some resources. I always give resources at the end, and the first one is, would you like to have my slides? This link will also be on the very end of the last slide where I answer questions, but just so you know, PDF summary. I have an online community called We Hack Purple, and every single thing inside of it is free. And we have community members present and teach stuff to each other all the time. And earlier this month, I had the OWASP Wrong Secrets project team come and just do this 2-hour workshop where we all smashed and we found secrets, and it was awesome. And so if you want to practice finding secrets, not at work, so you look super cool before you go to work, the wonderful humans from OWASP, again, have created an amazing free tool. Also, there's a video on my YouTube channel, We Hack Purple, where you can see them, even though you missed it, we still have a recording and it was great. The books are not free. All of these books are about DevOps, except the last one, which I wrote, is about AppSec, and me and my mom agree it's pretty good. And lastly, I have a podcast called We Hack Purple Podcast. I know you're not very surprised, where I just talk with people about AppSec, and it's just casual conversations where I get to ask really smart people all the questions I ever wanted to. If I had known earlier in my career that I could just start a podcast and then invite every person that I admire to come on it and they would say yes, I would have done this years ago. It's the podcasting host secret. And then the last resource is me. I am a nerd on the internet. I make videos. I tweet. I do all sorts of stuff. I am in all the places. If you look up She Hacks Purple, that will probably be me. Except I have an imposter at shehackspurple.dev, so don't go there. Yeah, I will never try to sell you online gambling, FYI. But with that, I want to thank everyone for coming today. I want to thank especially all the volunteers that made this conference happen. And I'm hoping that all of you could just join me and clap for them, because they worked for months for this. Thank you to the volunteers. Yeah. Sometimes people forget them because they're not the ones on stage, but without them, I would not be here. Does anyone have any questions? Do I have 1 or 2 minutes for a question? Okay. I see you. I see you, Pablo.
I'm picturing the secret vault as almost like a bank vault. There's a big key in the front, and there are individual keys. So their own little safe deposit boxes. How do you deal with the big key in the front?
Okay, so the question is so I'm going to reword it. How do you authenticate to the vault, right? Because that's the most important part, because then you get all the secrets. And generally you use what's called a service account. So rather than the Tanya Janca account, when I log in, there's a service account for that system that's specifically for that vault, and it's an identity on the network. And generally you monitor them like crazy, because they should never be doing weird things like sending emails. And so the system account or the service account for that system just authenticates to that, authenticates to the to the database and other things on behalf for you. And so that's how you would get in, usually. Sometimes they have a secret for the secret vault. I don't like that as much, because then I have to manage it. Boo. Thank you. Oh, also, one thing I should add to that is if you use a static analysis tool, they'll also find all the secrets for you. This is an easier step, and then you can build your way up to using static analysis and find all sorts of vulnerabilities, not just this. But if you have a SaaS tool, it should be finding your secrets as well. And I think that's it. Oh, wait, no, sorry, there's one there. Okay, so super awesome question. So what if the dev commits their code, there's a secret in, they're like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have done that. They just remove the secret and then recommit, and they're like, I'm cool now. And if they rotated the secret and then checked it into secret management, they are cool. But chances are that's not what they did, and they might be covering their tracks a little bit. And so there's a few things you can do. So one thing is doing the pre-commit hook. So before it's committed the code, it does a regex to look to see if there's a secret in there. That usually catches most of them, right? When I worked at Microsoft, I got to meet the incident response team that way, because I was making an intentionally vulnerable demo, and it caught me, and then I forced it into prod anyway. And then Azure told on me to my boss. And then my boss didn't do anything. And so after 30 minutes, Azure decided to inform the IR team. And I got to have them wake up in the middle of the night. And that's not the best way to meet the incident responders. And it took me a long time to make them my friends. I was like, I'm really sorry. So that's one thing you could do. Another thing you could do is like look through all that history. Ideally, though, you should be stopping things. So usually what I do is I search for all the secrets and like fix all those things and do the pre-commit hook around the same time. But yes, it's never going to be gone from your history. That is a problem I've seen before, and it's really important you rotate it. Thank you for reinforcing my point. And then there was someone like kind of behind you. Oh, am I done? Okay, I have no more question time, but I'll be outside and I have stickers and answers. Thank you so much, everyone.